Oh, is this on? Okay. Hello and welcome to Henrythejedi.com. I am Henrythejedi and thank you for having joined me. I know it's been a long time ever since I made any kind of appearance on the internet, whether it's through a post or through a video tutorial. I know it's been a while, but life has been busy, but I'm glad I found some time to record the tutorial you're about to see. So yeah, thanks for having joined me, and yes, let's get it started. And so, here is a look at what we'll be creating today. So as you can see, it's basically some kind of slightly organic, slightly mechanical animation that's taking place that we'll be creating from inside of 3D Max. And to show you a preview of what it's going to look like, actually, this is the kind of thing that we'll be building. It's basically things that look like they're folding around to create the animation that we need. All right. And as an animator, of course, I've created as many different angles as possible to help me with my animation, to show it off. So yeah, it's a slightly mechanical, slightly organic animation kind of feel that we're after. And this is even one of the other angles that they created before actually start. So you see that, eh? It's just lovely stuff to see, okay? So without any further waste of time, let's get started. So let's get started. And I must, it's been a while since I last recorded tutorials. Anyways, wish me all the best. What you're going to do is the following. We are first going to reset 3D Max. Okay? So that, of course, we are all working from the same settings. And then we are going to create a text. To do that, we go to the Create panel. After Geometry, there is Shapes. So please click on Shapes and click on Text. Okay? And then in there, there's a max text which you can change to anything you want. Okay, I'm just going to write HTJ, Henrythejedi. So, and then we write the text and then we click once in the viewport so that, of course, our text gets created. Okay, and then we need to lift this text so that it faces the front. So we're going to the rotation. We're going to turn on the rotation. And then please turn on angle snap toggle. That way we can rotate at precise degrees. Okay, so click on angle snap toggle and then rotate it until it is 90 degrees. You see, now it will be at 90 degrees. Yeah, that's how it should look right now. Okay, and then let's just go to the modify tab of our text. Change the color to something else. I'll change it to a white color. That way you guys can easily see it in the viewport. And also, of course, because this is text, you can change the font to anything you want, okay? But for our sake, I think we're very happy with this look, okay? After having done this, let's position our text in the middle of the scene. So please click on Select and Move, and then right-click to turn all these values to 0. The X, Y, and Z coordinates, or you can literally enter 0 there with your keyboard so that, of course, all those values are set to 0. That way the text sits right in the middle, okay? And then, here's what we need to do next. We need to design the objects that will actually be rolling or folding along our text, okay? And the technique we are going to use is actually deceptively simple. And I'm going to give you a very good reason why it's going to be very simple. The reason why it's going to be simple is that in today's world, time is so precious that you rather save time and achieve very interesting results than creating things which are just too complicated to achieve something. But of course, we don't always get the chance to make things very simple enough. But in this case, we are going to keep things as simple as possible to achieve our results. Okay? So, the idea, of course, is one day to become very effective animators so that we always get the things we want with the least amount of time spent on a project, okay? To achieve what we need to use shapes, okay, which are splines, all right? Because we can manipulate their looks quite easily because this is sort of an organic feel that we are after. To achieve that, as we said, we are going to the create panel. Again, we are not in geometry. No, we are still on shapes. Okay. Now we are going to create rectangles, because what these shapes are folding into are actually going to be rectangles. That will be the final look. Okay. And of course, if you wanted your shapes to be arcs in the end, that's still up to you. But for our exercise, we are going to use rectangles, and then please turn on auto grade. Okay. And then just draw a rectangle out like that in the view. Okay. And then go to the modify tab and change its color, maybe to a light green, like that. Okay. In fact, actually, let's change the text instead to the light green. Yeah. And then the rectangle to a white color. That way, of course, it can definitely be seen easily. And of course, please save your file. All right. The most crucial thing we need to do next is to position this rectangle at the foot of what will eventually be our text. Okay. Now this depends on wherever you want to start from. And I think we want to start with our first letter here, the H. So here's what we need to do. We have to move our rectangle accordingly, especially using these front, top, or left views, because the perspective viewport doesn't always tell the truth. Okay. But what we also need to do is give our text here some thickness, okay, some meat on its bones. So please select the text, and then in the modify tab, we are going to drop from the modifier lists. We are going to add extrude. Okay. And please increase the extrude amount like that. You see, that gives, of course, some thickness that we can use to drive our design. Okay. All right. And also, sometimes the realistic mode slows things down. So if it depends, of course, on if you're using one of the later versions of 3D Max, because I know the older versions don't have this function, but we just want to go, instead of realistic, please click on realistic, and we need to use shaded. There we go. That way there are no shadows in the viewport. It's just nice and clean to get our results quick enough. Okay. And maybe just drop the extrusion a bit as well. Okay. Good. Now please select our rectangle, and then using, for instance, the top view, you can see, of course, what we need to do. We are busy adjusting things like that, you know, to make sure that our rectangle will really be sitting nicely at the base of the text. And most important is that the rectangle's thickness must be, or rather its dimensions must be, that they're not smaller than the text which they will surround. Okay. Or else, of course, it won't be folding properly. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we need to make this rectangle an editable spline so that we can modify its properties. Okay. So please select the rectangle, or even if you're in the modify tab there, up there. Okay. We are going to right click, convert to editable spline. You see that? Editable spline. Okay. Now, if you click on the selection vertex mode, you can see, of course, now we have these handles that come up, because, of course, now this has become a spline. Okay. That's what we need to do at first. All right. Now, using the top view, we need to adjust the dimensions of this rectangle. For instance, we are going to switch to segment mode, and for instance, move this segment like that, because we're trying to get this rectangle here as close as possible to the text, because of course there will be 2 or more layers that we can add on top of this. Okay. So this will basically be this rectangle will be the one closest to the text. Okay, like that. And as you can see, we are doing everything to make sure that it's just surrounding the object and not being smaller than the object. Okay, that's the first thing we do. The second thing is we need to split open this segment, because that is from where the folding will actually take place. So select the segment here. Okay, you can see, of course, at the front. If you cut elsewhere, of course, you will need to do the folding elsewhere. So we want it to fold from this side. So please select that segment and then right click on your mouse with your mouse, and then we are going to select divide. You see that? Divide up there. Just below make first divide. By clicking divide, you can see, of course, it now gives us a vertex in between there. If you didn't catch this, let me do it again. I'm going to undo. We selected the segment and then we right click and then we select divide. There we go. Now, if you select the vertex mode and you pick that vertex, if you move it forward, can you see? Now, of course, we have a handle that can be manipulated, okay? Let me undo that. Now, this same vertex here, we need to break it up so that it gives us two vertices, so that we can really have two pieces coming together to cause the folding, okay? So, please select that vertex and then right click and then select break vertices down there. Break vertices is just below cycle vertices. Break vertices, click on that. Now if you click one of the vertices there, aha, you see now things have been broken up, okay? Things have been broken up. Now these two can move independently of one another, and that's exactly, of course, what we needed, okay? So let's just undo that, okay? All right, so at least now we know we've broken up those vertices, okay? Now, after having done that, it's now time to actually animate, okay? Because we need to animate the actual folding, and that folding animation will actually be driven by the position of the vertices on our rectangle, okay? Please switch to the top view, and then we're going to highlight all the vertices that make up our rectangle. In fact, not all of them. Please highlight only the ones on the sides. You see that? Except those in the middle there. Except those which we selected break on, okay? Because what we need to do is, if you notice right now, you notice there's a curve that happens when you're trying to move these vertices, okay? They need to be perfect squares, like corner vertices. So we're going to highlight those vertices on one side, right click, and make it corner. You see that option? Under Bezier corner, make it corner. There we go. Now that way, you see, now it's a corner angle. It's a corner vertex. It's no longer giving us unnecessary curves there, okay? Please highlight also those on that side, right click and make them corner. There we go. That way, the only bending vertices, of course, are these ones here, which we selected break on, okay? Save your file, of course. And now, we're actually going to animate the actual folding process, all right? To do that, we're going to be relying on the top viewport, okay? Because it's much more accurate to measure things from there, all right? First things first, we have to decide how long do we want it to take for the folding to take place. I think a range of about 30 frames should do it, okay? As you can see, of course, we are working with frames, all right? If you're not working in frames, please click on the time configuration button down there. It's represented by a little clock next to something like, looks like a cell phone icon there, down there, over there. Yeah. Change the time display to frames and then click on rescale time and then click OK and OK again. That way, of course, it gives us frames, okay? Now, 30 frames will be equal to 1 second in our case, okay? Because we are using a frame rate of 30 frames per second, so 30 frames will give us one second, okay? So in other words, we want it to take only 1 second for the object to fold onto itself, okay? So here's what we're going to do. Please turn on auto key, all right? And then we're going to move to frame 30, okay? And just like that, we are going to actually begin the animation process. And of course, auto key means everything we're about to do is going to be recorded, all right? So we are going to use that one of those front vertices and move it forwards like that. You see? Forwards like that, okay? And also sideways. We do the same with that as well. Move it forwards and sideways. Okay. If we play this back, can you see what's happening? Yes, it is some kind of a folding, but of course, it's still not exactly what it will eventually need to be. All right. Now, we want to be able to jump between keys. So please click on this button here that says Key Mode Toggle. That way, we can jump between one key and the other, between the previous key and the next key. You see? Now we can jump between frame 30 and 0. Okay. So frame 30, of course, that's where things happen. So it started like this, and then we simply move the vertices forwards. Okay, that was step 1. Step 2 is we are going to rotate these vertices, and of course you can see angle snap toggle is still turned on, so we're going to rotate it like that. Okay, and also please let's see, yeah, rotate that one and also rotate that as well. Okay, and then please select both of those vertices. We need to scale them to be bigger, like that, okay? And also, please move this more outwards like that, because remember, we're trying to create a fold after all. That one also goes there, but I think it also needs more rotation than before. And maybe just bring it a bit more down, and also sideways like that, okay? Now, remember, it starts like that, and then it goes on like that, okay? You see the animation which you are having? Let me just zoom in here. So what's happening is that it looks like, of course, they're breaking up away from each other and then stretching out like that, okay? That's what we need to do. All right. Then we need to swap these two keyframes around. In other words, we want the first key to be the last key and the last key to be the first key, because we want the animation to start as if the object was open. Okay, so please move that key like that forward, move that key then back to frame 0, and then move this key here back to frame 30. Now when you play this, you see what happens now? There we go. Now when we play it back, of course, it starts from being open and then it closes. Okay, that is the basically of our folding animation. Okay, and of course, please don't forget to save your file. Okay, now that's good. And not only that, we also want even that vertex to also be moved away from the center. In other words, we are going to highlight that vertex and that one, and both, please bring them sideways like that, you see? And maybe this, just bring it like that, okay? We're going to highlight also those ones, sorry, and move those also like that out of the way, and that also again like that, and maybe just curve it some more, and even this one here, yeah, like that. Okay, now when we move to frame 30, yeah, now this is where, of course, we are then going to need to move it like that. Okay, and also, of course, that has to go like that. Okay, basically the idea is just to get things to look the way they all started from. So it will start like that, and then it will bend, it will fold, that is, and then closes off like that. Okay, so it will start off like an open structure and then close like that. Okay, now of course there are a couple of things we need to adjust. Okay, for instance, when it's sort of halfway through, or rather when it's around frame 20, I think there's a couple of things we need to adjust, because I think the fold is closing off too quickly. Okay, so let's move to frame 20, and I think what we need to do around here is to scale our vertices a bit more like that, and also just bring them also like that, and maybe let's also bring them slightly closer. before they finally close. Let's see. Let's go back to frame 20 again. Maybe rotate them like that. Yeah, that's much better now. Play this back. You see, now of course it's a beautiful curve that happens, you see, before it eventually closes off like that. Okay, great stuff. Okay, so that's what we needed to do over there. All right, and also if you zoom really close, you will notice that our spline is not so smooth in its looks. So please turn off auto key. We need to smooth the spline. So click on expand the interpolation option and then just turn on adaptive. Now you can see, of course, the line is extra smooth. This was before, this is after. You see, now it's nice and much more smoother than ever before. All right, perfect. And save your file, of course. Okay, now time to rename our object to the relevant names. We are no longer going to call this rectangle 001. Let's call this fold underscore A underscore 001. Okay, we're naming this like this because each fold will have or rather we are going to have 3 different versions of these folds. So at least we'll know that fold A's will be the innermost ones, you know, fold B will be the outer ones, you know, and fold C will be the outermost ones. Okay, because we need three sets of these folds to do things. Okay, we are now going to give our object here some properties which will enable us to animate it quite well. Okay, for instance, right now it's just a bunch of lines. We need it to be an object that can be seen in the render. So we are going to add what we call the extrude modifier and also a shell modifier. Shell will give it thickness, as you can see. See that? Okay. And extrude, of course, gives it sort of height. Okay. All right. So now you can clearly see for yourself, of course, what really happens. All right. When you play back, you can clearly see what happens. Okay. Now, it's all good, but there is one problem. Already, from when the animation will start, the object will already be visible. So we don't want that. We want this object to be hidden away before it actually reveals itself. All right. Now, to do that, we need to add what is called the slice modifier. Okay. But before we do that, we need to make a clone of this object because we need to use it again. So please go to Edit and Clone. Okay, we are making a copy of this object so that it can be reused, but we are going to rename this fold B001. Okay, this will be another set of objects that we will use later on. All right, now please select fold B001 and then right click and hide selection for now because we are going to use it later. Okay, and then not only that, we also need to be able to, for this object to look as if it's drawing itself onto the screen. It shouldn't just appear from the first frame, so it needs to be hidden away and then reveal itself. Now 3D Max has a tool that we can use just for that purpose. It's called the slice modifier. Okay, to get it, we go to the modifier list. As you can see, of course, we are in the modify tab with the object selected, and then we select slice. Okay, please click on the slice modifier to turn it yellow like that, so that means it becomes active. And then we are going to rotate it. Make sure, of course, angle snap toggle is turned on. We are going to rotate an angle, and please select remove top like that. Okay, keep rotating it. Let's see, maybe you want it at an angle like that. Turn on auto key, and here's how it's going to work. This slice modifier cuts or rather removes whatever is at the top or at the bottom, okay, depending on the situation. But right now, for our purpose, we are going to select remove top. Make sure auto key is turned on, and then make sure you're in the at the very first frame. and then please move it to the very end like that. Okay, maybe just make it a straight line rather, instead of something that's at an angle. Okay, you see that? All right, and then we are going to move to frame 15 or so, and we are going to move the slice modifier's position. We are moving it forwards like that until it creates the object like that. Okay, now if you were to play this back, when you press play, you see now it looks like there was nothing in the beginning. When you press play, you see the object draws itself up. You see that, eh? That's what we need to do. Okay, great stuff. All right, maybe we may want to shift these keys a bit more forwards in time, just to give it a bit more time to draw itself like that. Okay, all right, that's great. Okay, now you can turn off auto key and click away from the slice modifier, and let's see the shaded mode instead of wireframe. So once again, you see now what we have compared to what we had before. In fact, please select the text, right click, object properties, make it see-through, and then click OK. All right, perfect. Yeah, there we go. Now this is much better. So when the object designs itself, you see it starts from nothing, and then, yeah, thanks to the magic of the slice modifier, it draws itself out in the scene. Okay, so that's what we need, like that. Okay, all right, although I still feel it's a bit too fast, let's just move the keys again forwards in time. Yeah, that's much better, I think. Okay, yeah, that's much better. All right, now we need to bring back the copy which we made out of this object. Please go to the display panel and hide by name, and then select fold B001. Okay, and then please select it in the scene. All right, and then let's just see. Yeah, we need to modify this object, so please go to the editable spline level of this object. Okay, and then let's see, you can see the dimensions which it has. Okay, so please turn on auto key. In fact, before we turn on auto key, let's quickly adjust the vertex positions of this object by moving them away from the original box from which they came. And even those, please move them like that. Even those on the sides, and even those up there. Yeah, that way there's some kind of a distance between these two objects. Okay, yeah, something like that. All right, okay, so if you were to play this back, in fact, let's please create a different material for this object. Let's go to rendering, material editor, compact material editor. Let's create a couple of materials. For instance, here, let's call this fold A. Okay, and then fold A can have a gray color, and then the second one will be called fold B. This, let's make them blue in color. Okay, now it's to these fold B's that we're going to assign that texture. And please select fold A and give it, of course, that texture. Yeah, that one. Okay, that way we can just see the differentiation between the two. All right, and not only that, please select fold A. Its timing also must be adjusted, because it shouldn't start at the same time as the other box. But before we do that, we are going to also add a slice modifier for it. Slice modifier, there we go. And again, remove top. Please click on the slice modifier to turn it on by making it yellow like that. And then, of course, we're going to rotate it at an angle like that, 90 degrees. Not only that, but I think this one here, we are going to also rotate it like that, 90 degrees. Okay, and then please turn on auto key. Let's just see something. Yeah, okay, turn on auto key and then please move it all the way to the edge like that. And again, move to somewhere around frame 20, or I mean frame 15, and then move the slice modifier to the side like that, you see. And then please spread apart the keyframes. Let's see what this will create. So the object will be designed as if it's coming sideways like that, you see. Okay? Although I think it's coming in a bit too fast. Let's just see. Let's just see if we are happy with this design. No, it's a bit too fast, eh? Yeah, no, it's a bit too fast. Okay. Let's delete that slice modifier and add another one. I think not only was it too fast, but it was just coming at the wrong angle. Okay. This one here, I think this one can actually, let's see. Yeah, let's just make it the same as before. All right. So, remove top, turn on slice modifier, and just, yeah, rotate it 90 degrees like that. Turn on auto key. Move to the back. And then let's move forwards around frame 20 or so and bring that, of course, forwards like that. Okay. All right. Okay. Please turn off auto key and then please move these keyframes a bit forwards in time. That way that object gets to be drawn first and then it's followed by the blue one, you see. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Yeah, something like that, okay? But I think let's also again spread these further apart like that. That's good, okay? Maybe that's a bit too much. All right, that's good. So at least now we know that when the objects are animated, they will start from nothing. And then they will design themselves, of course, in the viewport. Okay, like that. All right.